What is up, people of the interwebs, people of the internet, people listening to my podcast? All right, that's enough. Yeah, what's up? So this is $7.30 with Asher Webb, show where you get my 2 cents every day for free. Actually, not every day, but last one I did was Friday. It's Monday. It's 3 days. Not bad. Not bad at all. I don't know how consistently I'm going to do these. Probably a couple times a week. This, again, is just kind of a fun outlet for me to talk about what's on my mind, what's in the news, things going on in my life, things going on in the lives of the world, and a little bit of a journal for me. A good way for me to record my thoughts. So today it's mostly news stories. Got some good news coming down the pipeline, some interesting happenings, reportings, upcomings. I don't know what the word is. So we're going to talk about CEOs, talk about North Korea, and Kevin Costner, among other things. So I feel like it's pretty good lineup we got here today. So today is February 16th, 2026. It is President's Day. Oh, not that one. Oops. President's Day, so we're going to talk about the president. Just kidding, we're not going to do that. It's probably not a good plan. But we're going to talk about some other stuff in the U.S. That's kind of fun. I have the whole day off of work. Hopefully everybody does. I understand a lot of people don't, but it's kind of exciting for me. I have school and work off, actually, so a little double whammy there. So I thought, hey, great time to come in, record a little pod here at the Harold B. Lee Library on BYU campus, and give a little update. So first story for the week. The Wall Street Journal did a little article about CEO turnover in the U.S. in publicly traded companies. They reported that CEO turnover in the U.S. in publicly traded companies is at a 15-year high. It's a record high since 2010, which is quite a long time ago. I was 10, so that puts it in perspective. Their kind of big leading stat for this story was that 1 in 9 of the top 1,500 companies replaced their CEO this last year, and that more than 80% of these new CEOs are first-timers into the chief executive officer position. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're, first-time leaders and they haven't done amazing things in their career, but it is kind of interesting that a lot of first-time CEOs, companies include P&G, Walmart, Lululemon. I don't know if you guys heard about that whole drama with the founder of Lululemon calling out the CEO. Awkward. Yeah. A lot of other, pretty notable companies. And again, 1 in 9 of top 1,500 companies, that's a lot. More than 150. Yeah. So you gotta wonder, like, what's the deal? What's the take? Why are we ousting CEOs left and right? Especially some of these. I mean, you got like Disney replacing their CEO, Walmart replacing their CEO, who frankly has done a really good job in the last 10 years that he'd been there of leading the company to kind of raise the bar a little bit. Walmart has completely changed his company, and I think they've really done a good job. So makes you wonder kind of what's the deal? What's the story here? What's the takeaway maybe for why companies are replacing CEOs? The Wall Street Journal speculated or talked about how a lot of boards expect quick results from their leaders or expect kind of sporadic results, especially in time of kind of crazy economic turnover. And I think this is true, but I think the bigger trend is that Wall Street is becoming kind of Hollywoodified. I just made that word up. It is mine, but you can use it. You're welcome. Yeah, I think like if you look at kind of consumer news, what people are interested these days, people are reading less and less about Hollywood drama and more about Wall Street drama. Like a lot of people I talk to listening to business news podcasts. I mean, I'm doing a business news podcast, so it shows you something. On top of that, a lot of people are getting into the stock market, trying to start their investments early, turning to that as kind of maybe a safe haven for for their wealth against inflation. And I think the result of that is that we have kind of this like pageant version of Wall Street where people are becoming obsessed with big stories and big exciting things. And I think the boards feel that, right? Like if you can get your company in the spotlight because you got a new CEO with a brilliant new plan, that drives growth. There's been countless stories over the last year of a company turning over their CEO and then the stock jumps or the stock dives. And I think like we're kind of turning Wall Street and investing into a little bit of kind of Hollywood, a little bit of show business. On top of that, you have the growth of kind of gambling, but not really gambling with the with prediction markets, with Polymarket, with Kalshi. Some of these big companies, they're kind of turning investing into gambling a little bit. And I think people are buying into that because it's fun, it's exciting, you make some money, which is a little concerning in its own right. But as that's kind of what we're transforming Wall Street and investments into, I think you see kind of this soap opera version of Hollywood where people like the buzz and the news and the turnover and the new CEOs. It's fun, it's exciting, and it drives growth, or at least volume in your stocks, right? And on top of that, kind of the name of the game now is just big moves. Like all of these top 1,500 companies, not many of them are sitting quietly, right? Like what people want to hear about and want to see on the news is kind of like big moves, big changes in strategy. You have to be doing something big and cool nowadays. It's not acceptable just to run a company nicely and to kind of quietly do your job. And I don't know what that looks like for the long term. To me, that's a little concerning, right? You got like a lot of people's 401ks tied up in the S&P 500, and we're turning it into a soap opera. I don't know what that looks like for the future, but it is an interesting trend, and I don't think it's going away. I think as the economy is getting kind of a little crazy with geopolitical concerns, with with tensions growing between the U.S. and China, with the U.S. and Europe, Greenland shebang. I don't think this trend of kind of business soap opera is going away. So we'll see what that brings. But that's kind of how I see it. I think it's the Hollywoodification of the U.S. Stock market. Again, we'll see. So that was a great article by the Wall Street Journal. Big fan of the Journal myself. Another great report from the Wall Street Journal. This is actually kind of a WSJ exclusive. Was about North Korea and how they're infiltrating the U.S. workforce to fund their regime, the Kim regime, which is wild. So the story that the Journal published followed a gentleman by the name that they called Ko, and he told the story of how he grew up as he was seen as kind of a child prodigy. He was very talented, and he was recruited by North Korea to become a software developer. But the catch was he wasn't developing software for North Korea. He was developing it for U.S. companies. And he kind of detailed how there's whole teams of developers that infiltrate the U.S. workforce, not to spread propaganda or to like throw us overboard. It's just to make money for the Kim regime. Talked about laptop farms, how U.S. citizens will receive packages from companies. So what'll happen is a North Korean fellow will apply for a U.S. job under a U.S. identity. They talk about how a lot of times like U.S. citizens would let North Koreans use their identity to get jobs, and then the company would send a laptop to that person, to the North Korean, but really they'd send it to some guy in Kansas, and that person would just set up a bunch of laptops, these work laptops, and just run them. And the developers in North Korea would just do their job remotely. Crazy, just wild. They talked about like U.S. citizens giving North Koreans their IDs, taking video calls, taking interviews for them. This is something we've seen in the news, is that companies are trying to kind of crack down on remote work and kind of filter out some of this rumpus, which I think is probably a good plan. But they found a lot of ways to get around that. So fortunately for Ko, he he kind of jumped ship and now he lives in South Korea, works as a software developer. But again, really kind of alarming story, but also an interesting one where you have like a lot of these developers making a lot of money for the Kim regime, working as software developers in the U.S. and just kind of like doing a good job. Like that, their goal was to make money. They had quotas that they were expected to reach, and then they were treated well if they reached their quotas. Just kind of a wild idea, wild story. And what it makes me think about is that like you really got to want it. I don't think it's good that North Korea is obviously funding their nuclear program or war programs. That's concerning to me. But it is interesting the lengths that that regime would go to fund their program. We just like that's just such interesting out of the box thinking, and it kind of makes you think about what other things people are willing to do for something that they really want. Another good example of this principle, really wanting it, is a Veritasium video that I saw recently, and they talked about the development of ASML's photolithography machines for ultra high something. I can't remember the name of it, machines, but they kind of detailed like we've done photolithography for quite a while, and we're kind of reaching a maximum point for how small these chips could get, and the combination of some really sneaky researchers and almost dreamers working really hard did some pretty just insane things so that we could get smaller chips. You'll have to go watch it. It's just an incredible video by Veritasium. And again, it's a good reminder, like, if you really set your mind to something, there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. And in this case, it's interesting the lengths that North Korea has gone to fund their regime. Again, I don't think it's a great thing. Like, I don't applaud this behavior, but it is an interesting development, and it makes you kind of wonder maybe what lengths other groups or companies are going to try to reach their goals, and kind of what the implications of that are. In my notes, this is cute. My sweet daughter, she was helping me out with my notes, so I typed out kind of some thoughts and little details about the story, and then she typed 9999955555555333333. I kept it because it was adorable. She's a good little helper. Gotta love that little one. Okay, this week in my life, again, nothing crazy going on. Like, I have a great, happy life. I have a beautiful wife, beautiful daughter. Life's good. There's nothing. Unlike Wall Street, I don't have a soap opera life. We keep it pretty chill around here. But this week, I'll tell you, we watched some movies. I'm not really a movie guy. My wife is. She likes turning on a movie. She's okay to pause a movie halfway and finish it up the next day. For me, for whatever reason, watching a movie feels like a big commitment. Like, I'll gladly watch like 3 hours of Psych. Not even Bad and I, but for some reason, turning on a movie feels like a big commitment. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. But she's a big movie gal, and often her interest in watching a movie will win over my interest in just watching a show. And so this week I watched 3 movies, which is more than usual, but kind of restored my faith in watching movies. We got some good ones. So first one that we watched this week with some friends, Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. What a movie! So good. You got Fraser's Bottom, West Virginia. You got Pete. Need I say more? Like, let's go, Pete. Actually, so this is that's a long applause track. Good heavens. Yeah, so this is funny. I actually used to live in West Virginia, and you'd think, oh, but surely you didn't live near Fraser's Bottom. I did. Totally lived like a half hour away from Fraser's Bottom. Great name for a town, by the way. And so I lived there for 2 years. It was in middle school for me. It was ages 13 to 15. Kind of an interesting time to move from Utah to West Virginia. It worked though. Like, it worked out. It was a really good experience. It was hard in a lot of ways, but I think it shaped me and changed my perspective on the world and on people, and that was really valuable. That just couldn't happen any other way. But yeah, we lived in Taze Valley, beautiful little suburb between Huntington and Charleston, West Virginia, and so I went to high school in Winfield, West Virginia, which was about 20 minutes down the road, and across the Kanawha River from Winfield, you have Eleanor. And then up the street from Winfield, you have Fraser's Bottom. So I just want to correct a couple things. I think the movie kind of nailed it with some aspects of West Virginia. It kind of didn't. First thing, Fraser's Bottom is like narrowly a town. I think there's like a little diner, or maybe a shop or two, but there's not really like a main street or anything. It's mostly just kind of houses and farmland. It's a pretty quiet little town. But nearby there is Eleanor, which actually does have a Piggly Wiggly. So yeah, I mean, shout out to the movie creators for featuring Piggly Wiggly in a movie. So awesome, so sweet. And then but then like the characters, like the bartender gal, just nailed it. I thought that was like quintessential West Virginia character. Yeah, West Virginia is a wild place, wild and wonderful, among other things. So, Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, winner. Next movie we watched, Scooby-Doo 2. Such a great movie. I always, like, growing up, I don't ever recall watching the live action Scooby-Doo movies because we were kind of a cartoon only kind of folks. And I want to be clear that the cartoons for Scooby-Doo are phenomenal. So good, so funny. They got the little noise. Wish I had that on the soundboard here. Just like such a fun show. You got Shaggy, like Scoobs. I can do a pretty decent Shaggy impression, but I don't know if we're gonna bring it out today. Anyway, but in my old age, we've watched both the first and second live action Scooby-Doo's. Phenomenal, dude. Such great, funny movies. You got Freddie Prinze Jr., who's married, the actor for Fred, who's married to Sarah Michael Gellar, the actor for Daphne. So great. You got Matthew Lillard playing Shaggy, no less. Like, incredible actor. I don't think, like, I didn't. You don't really think about it when you're watching a movie and he's talking about like eating a 19-foot sub sandwich, but like, what a talented actor to play Shaggy so well. There's a scene where Shaggy and Scooby run into another character in the movie, and he's like bugging a guy. And firstly, great quote: "You'll be known from here on in as the soiled underwear ghost." You know, who's writing this? This is incredible. But like, so we thought that was a funny scene, so we watched it over, and I realized like Matthew Lillard's got some serious talent, like so expressive and so funny in his facial emotions, playing Shaggy. I mean, just such a great movie. And then also going back to Freddie Prinze Jr., guy's super slept on. So he plays in Psych. He has a cameo in Psych as like this nerd who's like kind of a closet nerd and married to a pretty lady. Super funny there. But then he's like just kind of a funny dude in Scooby Doo. Big fan of Freddie Prinze Jr. And it's great that his name's Fred in real life and that he's married to Daphne in real life. Yeah, you just can't beat it. So that was a highlight. And then the last movie we watched was 10 Things I Hate About You. Again, phenomenal movie. You got Heath Ledger, absolute heartthrob, named as a character named Patrick. Like, you can't beat that. Heath Ledger is like, again, what a phenomenal actor. It really makes you believe it, right? Like, watching that, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is how he would be in real life. Like, I'm pretty sure if Heath and I sat down for a conversation, he would be just as genuine and sweet and funny and clever and Australian. He can't beat it, right? And then, you gotta like the scene where he's singing "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You" by Frankie Valli. Too good, so good. And just overall, I mean, there weren't as many like kind of funny highlights in that movie. There are some weird parts, I'll admit. It's got some strange parts in that movie, and you can't get around that. But I think for movies, that might be kind of the most quintessential 90s high school movie there is. Just like so spot on, And I want to be fair, like, I don't think anybody's high school was actually like that in the 90s. Maybe yours was. Comment below. I don't know. But like, I love the kind of blown out of proportions high school portrayal that we see in these 90s and 2000s movies. I think it maybe had some kind of damaging effects. Like, I don't know that it was a good narrative to show for high school. I think a lot of people watched that and then came into high school scared or kind of leaned into some of these tropes. But really, really fun for movies. So I don't know. It's kind of like North Korea. Like, it's good and bad, interesting. above all. So yeah, great week in the movies for us at the Webb household. And speaking of movies, last little news bit I wanted to cover. Kevin Costner is reportedly spending $100 million funding a movie studio in St. George called Territory Film Studios. He has, I think, a 37,000 square foot garage soundstage for setting up movies. He's going to have a Kevin Costner themed restaurant on location. And I just think that's so rad. And the best part of it is his goal is not to he's not trying to make a bunch of money. Like, he already has plenty of that. But his goal is to revive true Western films. He's trying to bring back the Sundance Kid, and it's just kind of that true Americana Western film. He did so this film studio did do, I think it was Horizon, an American something sob story. I don't remember the name of it was, and it got a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. So not a great start, but I like it. I'm on board with that. I think that's a great goal of reviving true Western movies and in kind of the heart of Western movies, really, down in St. George and in southern Utah. You got Moab, Goblin Valley, such iconic locales for shooting movies like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Thought that was pretty exciting, pretty fun. Yeah, I'm excited for this Kevin Costner themed restaurant. I'll be honest, I don't know that I've actually watched too many shows with Kevin Costner in it, but I feel like he's just, it's Kevin Costner, right? I looked it up, so I was looking this up because I was like, oh, surely he's only in a couple movies. Guy's in a lot of stuff. Yeah, you got Yellowstone, which heard was good. Haven't watched because it seems like there was some content there. You got Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, Field of Dreams, McFarland USA, Hidden Figures. What the heck? Yeah. Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. It didn't do so hot, apparently. Apparently he's a Man of Steel. What else do we got? 3,000 Miles to Graceland. I don't know. But yeah, dude, Kevin Costner themed restaurant. I'm in. Sign me up. It's also fun for me. So I'm related to the Sundance Kid, if you can believe that. He is my fourth cousin, I think 6 times removed or something. It's a lot of removals. I don't know what the max is, but it's close to it. But yeah, I'm actually pretty decently closely related to the Sundance Kid, which is kind of wild. A little bit of family history bits there. So I feel this affinity for Western movies, even though I haven't watched a ton. And so I dig it. I'm on board. Let's go Kevin. So again, little wrap up. Great week in the news. Some pretty interesting stuff. We got CEO turnover. Maybe I should be a CEO. What do we think? Should I be the CEO of some small company? Since now that they're going for younger guys, maybe I'll keep my eye out. Some job postings. We got North Korea infiltrating U.S. workforce, which is pretty wild. I guess the big takeaway there is don't hire North Koreans. I don't know, or do hire North Koreans if you know that it's a North Korean, but don't hire people that you think are Americans that are North Koreans, because that's not cool. And then again, so many great movies out there, can't beat it. So yeah, my faith's been restored in movies. We'll watch a couple more. I can give you the breakdown next week, see if it's as good as this week. I'm gonna be honest, pretty hard to beat. Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, Scooby-Doo 2, and 10 Things I Hate About You. Pretty bomber week on the movies. I don't know if I'm going to be beating that for a long time, but we can only hope. So, guys, thanks for joining me on $7.30. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Woo. Let me play my little outro music. It's growing on me. I don't mind that. That's not bad at all. Yeah, if you guys have some suggestions for outro music, hit me up with them. I'm in desperate need. I will see you later.